So that's that section all done. Now I've got this digging out where that old carpet, the old pond is. So as you can see, I've started to find the perimeter of the old pond where this carpet is, where all this sub-base material has just been used to fill it in. I'm not quite sure how deep it goes yet. Unfortunately for me, I really wanted my pond more this side rather than under the tree, because as you can see, there's some beefy roots there, which is precisely why the old pond probably failed in the old days and they filled it in. So what this means is I haven't really got a blank canvas to work with. Ideally I'd like just soil. I can spray paint on the floor, mark up my pond shape, dig it, use the sub base to line the pond liner, and any excess topsoil, because what I wanted to do was to build this side up here next to the patio and also the back there and use that as planting. I'm still going to have to, I want to bring my pond here, then the soil I've dug out of there I'm going to have to use to fill this side, because I don't really want my pond any further back than that, close to that tree. So I've kind of almost got double the work really, because of this old excavation here. It's governing obviously the opening in the ground, but never mind, onwards and upwards, I can do it. So just got a little bit more excavated. I'm still finding all these large pieces of stone. There's mesh all been whacked here on top of this carpet, so it's given me a bit of a struggle to get it all out, if I'm honest. This would be a perfect job for a little mini digger, but unfortunately you've seen the access in part one of this video. There's no way I'm getting a digger in this back garden. Never mind, spade and wheelbarrow. And also, I don't know if you can see, but the root from this tree actually is curved around the perimeter of the old pond. It's still going here, so obviously I've got to get that sorted, but I'm gonna guess that's probably another reason why this old pond failed and was filled in how many ever years ago. Yeah, never build a pond this close to a tree like that. So a bit more of a progress report. Some of that stony sub base I pulled out of there. I've taken out the broken slabs at the top and given that a whack in there, make that a bit of a crushed stone pathway to the back to get to the filters for the fish pond, just to save me ferrying it around the front into the skip more than anything. What I've decided I'm going to do is probably excavate about half of this, push everything back to that mound there, as long as I can get a line across to cut that carpet and underlay out. This is where I'm going to build my pond from, so I can push everything back there, leave maybe 6 inches on top for some new topsoil to build up that berm. I'll have to bring that in bulk bags, and then obviously around here as well, that's for planting, and that way I can still keep with my original idea of having the pond sort of stepping stones here, and then the pond come in about a foot inside with planting bed there, and then probably going about there, so I'm nowhere near that tree or its roots, which I've still got to get out. Anyway, more later. So my idea of just leaving this half and building in with the soil I've taken out is a bit of a snag, because all of this mesh has been buried under all of this here for whatever reason, I don't know who did this, but unfortunately the weight of that soil and stone is preventing me from moving that out, so I've got to excavate all this anyway, get rid of this mesh, get rid of the carpet that's under that section, and then then I can actually start thinking about the new pond. I have got rid of a couple of these big roots, that one that is going around there, and there's another one that came through here. I've just got to get rid of those remains. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's fighting me a bit this, but I will prevail. So, as you've just seen, that piece of mesh has taken me an absolute age to get out. I mean, just when you think you've found it, you've hit a brick, a concrete block, a block with rebar, there's glass in there, there's a couple of bits of lead. I mean, this is the ultimate dumping ground. Whoever filled this in did not want this coming out. So, it's about 5:30 now on Friday, and part of me thinking, do I save this bit for the morning, or do I try and get it out now? Still got a good bit of light. Let's get it out now. I might be able to sleep better knowing that this is out, and then I'm coming back here tomorrow to try and do some sort of shaping on this pond. Let's get it out. Okay, I admit defeat today. This is the first day the job's beat me. I'm starving, I'm tired. That, oh my God, there's a name for people that fill holes using this mesh and slate and glass and OSJs and brick and plastic and everything else. I mean, as you saw, I can get that moving, but because it's a mesh, it's just holding all the weight of the soil and the stones in it. So I'm coming back in the morning, less tired, less grumpy. I'm gonna get that son of a bitch out if it's the last thing I do. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, it's Saturday morning. Unfortunately, the metal mesh fairies haven't been overnight to remove this. Now, a few of you are probably thinking, why don't I just angle grind this and fold it over and put some soil on top, because I'm not gonna be, you know, forming this as part of the pond. But you know what? I've got this far with this mesh now, and I just know this will be laughing at me forever under the ground if I don't get it out. So I'm not saying I won't cut it out, but I'm going to give this a good half hour, see if I can get this mesh out, and then I'll be a very happy man. So I did snip off the line where that big piece was sort of hanging out, just because it was getting in my way. I managed to excavate a big lump of solid concrete, which I thought would be holding it down, but no, it's still clinging on. But what I have found is lots and lots of broken glass in here, as you can see, all this here. So I've got to be a bit careful. It's just been used as a glass dumping ground in amongst all that mesh. It's just to add more fun to my job at the minute. So this will come out. This will come out. So the mesh is out. I'm going to just get this carpet excavated, cut that back, then I say from about there to there it's going to be backfilled anyway. That's not going to be pond, but I'm so happy that's out. I've got all this rubble glass in here as well. Need to make sure obviously that all gets out and isn't anywhere near where the line is going to be. So that's another job. So that's as clean as I'm going to get that hole. So I've got the carpet cut back now. That's not going to be the pond there anyway, so when I get some new soil that's going to be built up, that's going to be planted at the back of the pond. I've got as much of the broken glass and rubbish out as I can, but unfortunately when you're stupid enough to throw broken glass into the ground, you're never going to get it all out. But so I've done my best, and anything that I do is going to be way below ground level and far enough from the edge of the pond liner, which obviously is going to be fleece protected first anyway, and another layer of good soil on top of this, but that's all going to be whacked in. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to give that a whacker there, and then I'm going to spray paint the area that I'd like my new pond to be, and we'll go from there. So rather abstractly, I've drawn my outline for the wildlife pond. I did these original circles here. I was going to have 2 stepping stones before we went into the area, but because now seeing where the tree roots are, now I've excavated it, I actually want to bring the pond further this way. So this is now, I'm not going to do the stepping stone idea. I want to have as much water as I can. So this section here is going to be the pebble beach that slopes down where the birds can feed and hedgehogs, foxes, mammals can have a drink. Obviously I'm going to have a shelf around the outside, so I'm going to bring the pond around the edge there, around there, and here. That's all going to be planting, terrestrial planting, with obviously the aquatic planting on the shelves. Likewise here, planting. This has all got to be built up with topsoil. Obviously cover that brick line, so that's going to be a nice planting bed there, and some plants in front of the pond here, and then it opens out again for the pebble beach area and gradually slopes into the main body of water. So obviously I've got a lot of building up to do here, compact it in, and then create a shelf to plant on, and then slope the sides in. So I can use obviously a fair bit of this soil here, but I have allowed extra now to bring in extra soil to build up this berm around the back, cover that stony area that I've used at the moment. Again, that's going to be a planting bank just to build it up to hide obviously where the ladder and the little footpath runs behind to get to the fish pond. So let's get digging again. So just a bit of a progress. We've got the gently sloping area here. This is going to be where the pebble beach is. Very shallow area. It's going to be the warmest part. So any tadpoles will be taking refuge in there when they're newly hatched, or newly born should I say. Going to be where the birds drink, hedgehogs drink, any small mammals. Got the planting shelf here, which is going to be the perimeter. As you can see, I've been trying to build up that area where I had to refill it all, where the old pond and roots and carpet and everything was. And then we've got the deeper area here. I'm just going to be having some lunch now. I'm going to form that last shelf after. And then I'm going to do a section in the middle that's about 90 centimetres deep from water level. I'm going to put some sort of medium-sized boulders as a retainer, keep the soil from going down there. It's going to be a nice deep area for frogs and toads. It's never going to freeze down there, and it's a good habitat where they like to be. So let's get some lunch. Of course, I've just finished my lunch and it's just started raining. Never mind, Gonna get all this tamped in a little bit, get that firmed up, because I need to sort of cut and shape into that, so we'll do that before I cut any more of the bottom out. So I am now at good toed depth, shall we say. I'm at 95 centimetres there, so the time I get some subsoil and rocks in there, that's going to bring that to probably around the 80 centimetres mark, which is plenty. In the bottom there, I will put in a lily basket that's going to be enclosed with some boulders. The boulders will act as a bit of nook and cranny, if you like, for the frogs and toads as a bit of habitat. Also newts, they'll also double up as retainers for the soil that I'm going to build up around the outside to plant directly into. So what I'm going to do now, the only bit I've got left is to just form this last bit of shelf where I've been trying to compact what I've been taking out to build up that sort of deficit that I had from the old pond. So I'm going to give it a good tamp now and see if I can start shaping that, and that'll probably be the last thing I do here today, and I'll leave this alone for probably a week until I'm back here, and hopefully that would have a little bit of compression and maybe rain would have helped sort of set that in place a bit more. So that's all done for this Saturday afternoon. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the weekend. So we've got the Pebble Beach area sloping in, we've got a planting shelf all around here, we've got the deep section for the frogs and toads and where the lily basket's going and the rocks. I've also just shelved out that layer there, that's going to have some more boulders on it, acts as a bit of a retainer with some membrane behind it just for that soil, so when it rains nothing starts washing forwards and into the pond from that top section. So that's all pretty much leveled out now. I'm going to leave that for say a week is when I'll be back on this job, so that should hopefully have some sun on it, sort of start baking it dry, compacting it over time, and then I can start getting the fleece liner fleece and then the subsoil in and start making this look like a proper pond. Anyway, that's me for now. So I'm just waiting for the pond liner to arrive still, but I still think I've got a fair bit of bailing out to do before I can even think about getting this pond done. Good morning. Won't be much talking for me today. Still getting over this sore throat and chest thing that I've had going on, but cracking on with the job. So first thing is going to pump out all this rainwater that's built up in this pond here, and then we'll get the liner in, fleece liner fleece. Okay, so the first layer of fleece is down, which protects the liner from the undersoil with the stones. Then the pond liner goes in, and now we've got the over layer of fleece on top. This is what the subsoil layer will be laid onto. So what I'm going to be doing next is start getting the subsoil, working my way up from the lowest point upwards with some boulders, bit of retaining wall, get my lily baskets in there, and then once I get to a decent amount of subsoil, I can start getting some water in there, get some water on those lilies as I work my way out of the pond. Okay, so that's this lower section rocked in, and some cobbles as well, and all the subsoil. I've left some nice little nooks and crannies under here for frogs to hide. So some nice little overhangs. Yeah, frogs, newts and toads, they can all utilise those little spots. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to get some water in here, get these lilies covered, and just get this first section underwater. So that's as far as I can go today. I'm waiting for one more bag of subsoil to arrive, which is going to just take me around this perimeter here, and then I can do the final liner turnover joint. Got two edging rocks here. I'm going to have the pebble beach scattered in here. They're going to be malleted into the subsoil, but again, I want some thicker depth of deeper depth even of subsoil coming down there. So I'm just going to trim this outside liner for now, and then I'd say just going to wait for the subsoil to arrive in a couple of days time, I think, to finish the pond off. But I can keep bringing the topsoil around for that top area there and get the plants at the top end planted at least. Good morning, back for another few days remaining on this job to get this pond finished off. Good news is, after the weekend, the water that I did put in there is still there, so we're holding water, which is always a good thing with the pond. I'm still waiting for the remaining subsoil to arrive, so in the meantime I'm just going to get this topsoil built up with what I've got left out the front, wheel that round, build it up to a bit of a higher berm at the back to plant into, and a bit more of a screening barrier for that sort of area behind, which is the walk round to the raised fish pond filtration system. So just toying with some planting positions for these larger plants here, which I'm going to be using as a bit of a screen of that back section, so the walkway. I've got three of the dogwoods again, yellow, orange, red, and behind them I've got some Japanese laurels, which are going to grow quite wide and bushy, and they hopefully will produce some red berry fruit, not for human consumption of course, during sort of May time. So add a bit of colour. They're evergreen as well, so that's going to be a constant backdrop once they grow to their full size. So I'm just trying to look at it from the main viewing position, which is why I've kind of alternated those in between the gaps there, and then when they start filling out, that should be quite a nice screen. And obviously there'll be some more smaller pollinating plants down there. I'm going to have some woodland seed mix there where it's a bit more shadier, and then once I've got this other subsoil in, I'll be putting some, I've got three lovely different variations of hosta going in there. It's a little bit shadier, they're a bit protected by that bush there, because hostas like it not in full sun, quite shady is where they prefer it. So that is where I've got my eye for the three hostas. and then there'll be a wetland mix of seeds sown into this subsoil. Once I get it around the perimeter of this pond, waiting for that to establish with some, again, small pollinator friendly plants sort of dotted in for a bit more instant impact. So I'm going to see how I feel after lunch, leave them there for now, and then get them potted after lunch. Hello, it's another day here, and whilst I'm still waiting for the remaining subsoil to finish the pond off, I've been out on a little forage into some woods nearby, picking up some pieces of fallen timber, shall we say, ready for a little log heap and a dragonfly perch around the pond. I'll just show you what in a second. So I've got these really lovely couple of already hollowed out rotten trunks here. I mean, they're going to be perfect for frogs, amphibians, crawling through there, keeping safe out of the way there. Absolutely lovely pieces. I've got this long length here. I can probably cut that into 2 or 3 half decent sized pieces to sort of stack up along with these ones here as a part of the log pile. This tall one here with the angled bottom, got a really good dragonfly perch. Get that section there set in the ground, and this longer, smaller part hanging over the pond would be absolutely perfect. And then I've got this other lovely piece here that's kind of split open. It's already got a load of wood lice and snails and that in it, but again, a lovely piece of half enclosed environment there for anything that wants to frequent it. And then over here, exactly a week ago, is when I planted these various plugs that you'd have seen in a previous video in this series, also the wildflower seeds. I've noticed that we've got some starting to come up. If you see over there, in that corner, there's some, and along the fence, all the way along, little speckles of the green wildflowers coming through, which is fantastic. So we've had a hell of a lot of rain here the last week, the odd bit of really hot sunshine in between. It's just been really weird, along with the high winds. So yeah, seem to be doing really well in that lovely subsoil I put in. So it's 3:45 and I've still got no subsoil, so a bit of a wasted day here, apart from a bit of foraging to get those bits of tree and branches. What has turned up though are the marginal pond plants, including the hornwort. Got a decent sized bag there. That's an oxygenating plant just to be thrown in the pond, and that's going to add obviously oxygen to the water, keep it alive, stop it becoming a dead stagnant pool. Also it can be tucked into the subsoil here as well to take root as well as just floating. So I'm just going to do a combination of that now, whilst I'm still waiting for this subsoil. Okay, so that's all in. Majority of it I've thrown in to float around, and it's also going to provide some shade to the pond as well, because ideally you want 60 to 70% of your water covered with either plant life, or when the lily pads come up, just to sort of keep it shaded and cool, and obviously keeps the algae away. And the rest of it, as you've seen, I've sort of pushed into the substrate there just to sort of bed it down, so it's got a bit of an even perimeter of it around, as well as the floating ones, which are obviously going to be a bit dictated by the wind and the breeze. So it's 5:05 now and still no subsoil. Really disappointing, actually. I spoke with the company supplying it at 2:30, and they said they'd get on to the logistics team and I'd hear back as soon as possible, and I've not heard anything. So I'm going to call it a day here. I've wasted a day, really. I could have booked in another job or a quote. Worse than that, it's Thursday today, Friday tomorrow. Who knows what time, if and when it's going to turn up tomorrow. So potentially, if it's not till silly o'clock on a Friday, I'm going to be working here Saturday and Sunday, because I need this job finished, or this part of the job finished, by the end of this week, because I've got a new job starting Monday. So yeah, obviously I'm going to be chasing up the company again in the morning, see what's what. But yeah, that's it today. Bit of a wasted day. See you in the morning. Good morning, it's mid-morning. Finally got this bulk bag of subsoil delivered. I can finish edging this pond off. Let's get cracking. So that is the main construction of the wildlife pond finished. You've seen me put all the boulders in, coral beach. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the water level up, and then in the next video you can see me planting all the aquatic plants, all the terrestrial plants on the outside, creating the log pile and the dragonfly perch, and yeah, the finished product basically. So see you in the next one.